Hello everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be voiding warranty on a perfectly good USA automatic knife. This is the Protech USA and Joseph Vero of Vero Engineering Synapse Auto. This unit in particular is a show exclusive, and I don't believe you can get it in this exact same configuration. The blade finish, the mother of pearl inlay on the button there, the double burgundy micarta top lid, and the blacked out back with the clip. This clip, might I add, is beautifully designed and just a perfectly good looking and functional clip. Now, you may ask yourself, Nathan, what the hell are you going to be doing to this knife? Is it even going to be worth it? Well, this isn't my knife. So I was given permission to do some work to the blade, and that I shall do. So I will be doing a rock texturing spine on the blade. This is in magnet cut blade material. I do not know the HRC. I'm assuming it's within proper industry standard. Also a really dark acid wash, stone wash finish to the blade, a reprofiling job to something that's going to be a lot more appropriate for the geometry. This is a cool knife. It looks good, it feels great in hand, but you're gonna want something like this to actually perform and go through day-to-day tasks. I think a good, 18 to 17 degree edge would be very appropriate on something like this. And with my experience with sharpening magnet cut, I have high hopes for it. If you've ever had a protech knife, these things hit unnecessarily hard and they put a smile ear to ear. I personally don't own any specifically, but they are definitely a treat when they do come across my channel because they are really, really fun. So that's what I'm going to be doing. You guys have seen my process, and this is just going to be another one of those videos where I do a speed through of me working on the blade and the different cut scenes of the processes that take place. This doesn't need to be super long and complicated. If you do have any questions specifically, you are more than welcome to ask me in the comments section. I read and do my best to respond to all appropriate comments, of course. And yeah, so if there's anything that you're curious about and you want to start customizing or modifying stuff, feel free to message me down below. And another thing I'm going to be doing is blacking out the micarta scale here. I want to see if I can tighten up the grain structure a little bit by using some 3000 grit wet sand. I've done a little bit of work with micarta before, and I know it takes a while for you to really see results that are worth the time, but I do want to tighten up the grain structure because I think like a semi-gloss-ish kind of black, or just a more vibrant black would look pretty nice. I don't want it to look like a cheap G10 scale. I want it to have a little bit of reflectivity, or at least a little bit of sheen to it. This design being, from Vero Engineering, it is ergonomically beautiful, and it's something that in your hand, it's not really going to go anywhere, especially if you are accustomed to hard-hitting automatic knives. Just get a grip, and this isn't going to go anywhere. But this obviously is something you're not going to hand to a new person who isn't used to stuff like this, because this could be very dangerous, of course. So let us utilize common sense. So I'm going to tear it apart. We're just going to be left with the blade and the scale. I wanted to actually push back the plunge grind, the sharpening tool right there. I wanted to use my Dremel to chip away a little bit of it, but because of how protechs are designed, they actually use a part of the frame itself as the stop pin or stopping surface. So if I remove any existing material from the blade, I am actually removing contact space from the actual blade itself, which obviously is not a good idea. And it also kind of makes me concerned about using something like this long term. How many sharpenings are you going to get out of it before it becomes ungodly thick? Because honestly, the stock thickness on this is thicker than the average, and behind the edge thickness is very robust. This is not going to be a powerhouse slicer by any means. It's still going to perform well enough, And thankfully the ergonomics are good enough to where you're not going to have major hotspots for actually having to really push through material. So yeah, let's just get to it. This is Magnica blade material. I'm very curious to how it takes to my blade finishing process and technique. It shouldn't be anything super crazy, but at least you guys can come along for the process, and hopefully I come up with something exciting and I don't ruin someone else's knife. Let's utilize some common sense and have some basic PPE gear. You're going to be working with a Dremel tool that is moving very, very fast with a sharp object, flinging little pieces of metal right at you. So protect your eyes, protect your lungs. I can't stress that enough. Definitely get goggles that have something. I mean, even if you want, you could put a hoodie, because this stuff will get in your hair and it is very annoying. If you have sensitive skin, this will irritate your skin, absolutely. So just fair warning to anybody who does this kind of work. Any and all tools will be available on my Amazon storefront. They are linked. It is probably one of the easiest ways to support this channel if you are planning to buy any of this stuff anyway. These are some of the drill bits that I use a lot. Well, not drill bits. These are, I guess, the carbide bits that I use. There's large ones and then small ones for detail work. I love using the large ones because they obviously chunk away a lot of material very fast. I already have one here in this Dremel. This one specifically is the corded 4300 model or series Dremel, and different speeds all the way up to more than you'll ever honestly need. This is a really, really sweet tool. So I've already blunted the edge. This isn't going to cut me or anything. It's completely dull. I took it to a little plate of glass, and so the edge is completely gone. But even still, just to stabilize it while I'm working on this thing in my hand, I'm going to be holding it in a little cloth right here, just holding it kind of like this as I work with the Dremel tool to get as many facets in a tighter space, I suppose. Because I want to say the good thing about this blade stock being as thick as it is I have a lot of room to work with. And the more facets, the more complicated the spine looks, the more unique it looks, of course. So that's obviously what I'm going here. A rock texturing pattern is something that is very, very easy to achieve. It looks complicated, but it's not. It's a very organic pattern, and it is one of the easiest patterns for beginners to start on because of how organic it is. It's very easy to hide any mistakes or slips and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with my skill set with Dremel work, and this is probably the third blade that I've ever done rock texture to. The two other ones, they were very successful and I love how they look. So I'm going to continue doing that until I move on to some other skill. So alrighty, so I'm all done. Hopefully you can see it. All the different organically placed facets all over the spine of this, giving it a very unique rock texturing. What I do afterwards, after I do all the harsher grinding, is I just go over it very lightly to knock off any really aggressive edges. So this is, there's zero aggression to this at all. And you would think that there'd be, burrs galore all over this thing. Nothing. This is very, very soft. Going over it a couple times just to round off a lot of the major edges and kind of bring all the facets together, giving it a very lumpy, bumpy kind of texture. That's how I at least execute my rock pattern, and it definitely looks a lot better even after doing the acid stone washing. So we're gonna move on to that next. The biggest part, especially on a knife that's designed like this, the way that they've executed the blade, it really does matter to protect all the important contact surfaces. So I'm going to be taking some nail polish, apply it there in the hole and all that, the face where the spring sits. I'm probably not going to do this here because it's going to get washed away again or worn in. But yeah, so this next part should be very easy. When doing acid stone washing, especially if you're using acid like ferrochloric, it most likely will, it's a stupid fly in here, it most likely will get rid of the laser etched Protech USA and the Magnica blade steel stamp there. There's nothing on this other side. There's obviously this hole for homage or decorative purposes, because you obviously can't deploy this blade with that cutout right there. So that's what we're going to do next. Protect the blade, let it dry, dip it in the acid, scrub it, check how dark it is, then take it to my hand rock tumbler thing and go from there. Alrighty, so this is, yes, a different day, but I wanted to show you guys something interesting. So I did just the ferrochloric acid on the blade. Obviously I've done the rock texturing on there. Hopefully you can see that. But it is ridiculously consistent all throughout. It came out beautiful. My technique, and I need you to pay attention at this point, to get a finish like this, it's not a matter of just leaving the blade in the acid and walking away for 10 minutes. I actually sit at the sink with some wet sand, 2,000 or 3,000 grit, doesn't matter, but I clean this, put it on some wire, I leave it soaking in the acid for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. I take it out, I start scrubbing it lightly all over with the wet sand. Rinse it, put it back in the acid. I go back and forth, back and forth. I do this about 5 different times. And the reason why I do this is because it creates the most consistent finish overall. This is beautifully consistent, very powdery looking. And this is completely bone dry. If you go and take some oil to it, it'll become a little richer looking. And it's gonna go into this protein tub that is now this is my rock tumbler. I have to manually tumble my stuff, but clearly I come out with pretty decent finish. So this is aquarium sand, aquarium small gravel, a lot of WD-40, and some aluminum oxide powder just to help brighten things up. So it's dry. We're gonna take a little bit of oil to this thing, and you'll kind of see how it looks like when this is properly coated, and it is beautiful. It is a very beautiful gray, and I think once I put the organic stone washing over this thing will come out very, very nice. So look at that. Nice, beautifully dark blade. This almost looks like a dark gray PVD almost. That's how fine the actual grain structure is. But again, that's my little technique. It takes a long time, yes, but it allows for the acid to have fresh material, fresh surface area to properly eat away and corrode the surface. You do not want to leave it in for more than a couple minutes, because you don't want to overeat the material. And of course, by applying the nail polish, all the important contact points are completely protected and unaffected by the acid. So throw that in there. I'm gonna shake it around like a freaking tweaker, and 20 years later I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Alrighty, so after you're done blowing out your shoulders and chest of shaking a giant protein tub full of rocks around, this is what you come out with. This is a beautiful, beautiful acid stone wash finish. Very organic looking, very consistent. There are not large gashes that are just kind of abrupt and out of nowhere. It is chaotic all the way through. And again, the goal is to have an organic finish. So I think this came out really well. A lot of the rock tumbling has removed the nail polish, and now I'm just gonna go and clean up the rest of it in some acetone. The blade is completely dry. You can put a little bit of oil again just to see what it will look like once it's assembled and everything. And obviously, if you're doing this at home, you can use WD-40 if you want, wax, food grade oil. It just depends on, you know, what you're gonna do with the damn thing. So wipe off the excess. Yeah, so it's a little bit darker, a little bit richer, has a sheen to it. Just a little bit. I think it came out really, really nice, very consistent. So at this point, I'm boiling some of the RIT dye right now, and I'm gonna soak the top scale, the double burgundy micarta lid. I'm gonna try to darken it as much as I can. I don't have black, but I have I think it's called like a frost gray or something. But I've done finishes with that color, and it comes out almost black if I leave it in way too long. So nothing's ever actually been gray. It's always just come out black, which is kind of frustrating. And then if I use natural JG10, it comes out kind of brown, which is weird. So we'll see how the micarta reacts to it. If not, I have I think it's a peacock green, and if you leave something in green for a long time, it typically ends up looking kind of black. So the goal is just to darken it up, but just need to put an edge on this thing, throw it all back together, and we're done. All right, so I'm finally finished with this thing. The blade itself came out excellent, absolutely wonderful. Reprofiling job down to 20 degrees. I wanted to go a lot thinner, but because of how thick the blade grind is from the factory, I didn't want to create a ginormous freaking cutting bevel because it would look really stupid. So 20 degrees is as good as I could have gotten it, and the stuff is pretty sweet. The scale itself, let's go ahead and check this thing out. The scale itself, I left it soaking in RIT dye for, I want to say, over 2 hours, semi-boiling. And it could only soak in so much, but at least it was a pretty organic outcome. Let's take a look at this thing. See if we could darken it up. So a little bit of the burgundy micarta is still peeking through, but I think I got a pretty unique finish, definitely. Complements the black scale and the black clip. Nice satin hardware, and the polished button do stand out quite a bit, but I think it's interesting looking. Just check out that blade, how this thing came out. Look at this rock pattern here. All the way up to the tip. It's a tiny, tiny little smile there and on this side, but again, that is just because of the blade grind, how thick it is behind the edge from the factory. I've eliminated most, if not all, side to side, and well oiled the spring, the pivot, and this thing still freaking hits. The pivot is cranked down quite a bit, and there's essentially zero time for break-in. This is wonderful. Nice, smooth deployment, no stick, Definitely feels a lot better than when I received it. And the centering on it, this thing went back together perfectly for what it is. Very simple construction to begin with from Protech. Let's go ahead and watch this thing cut some stuff. Kind of at a weird angle, but let's try some of this paper towel. Not too bad for something that's at 20 degrees. I think that's pretty good. Where's the perforations? Right there. Let's go here to a solid one. Yeah, that's that's sharp, right? That's plenty sharp. Let's see some paper. And this really flimsy newsprint here. Oh yeah. Obviously a laser beam. So this is, again, a 20-degree edge, 600 grit, and then some stropping to 0.5 microns. This is a incredible working edge. MagnaCut takes a beautiful, beautiful finish as well as a toothy working edge. Very, very easy to refine, very responsive to the strop as well for long-term use. But yeah, this thing came out pretty freaking sweet. I think it is rather unique. Let me brighten it up a little bit so you can see some more of that burgundy peeking through. So it's muddled all throughout, but I think it still came out pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind carrying something like this. Let me know what you guys think of this thing. I think it came out pretty darn awesome. It is definitely a one-of-a-kind piece now, absolutely. Did I avoid warranty on this thing? Yeah, probably. There's a good chance that I did, but you know what? It's a whole lot better than what came from the factory. That's for damn sure. And I do like that you can still see the Protech USA and the MagnaCut there. However they're applying their lasering on there, it is very, very nicely done. So I do like how it's still visible even after all the work I did to the actual blade itself. So hopefully my buddy enjoys this. And yeah, if you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you are subscribed, thank you so much for all your support and your patience. Of course, if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing because I play more videos and content coming you guys this way. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.